Hello, it's Simon here, and in this video I want to share with you why lease options work best in a recession and how you can gain cash flow and equity growth from property you don't even own. So my name's Simon Zutshi. I'm the founder of the Property Investors Network, which is the largest network of property investor meetings all over the country with 50 meetings every month. I'm the author of Property Magic, the Amazon #1 property bestseller, and I've been investing in property for 25 years. And lease options are one of my favorite strategies. Why? Because they work really well. Doesn't matter if you're a new investor or an experienced investor, lease options can work very well for you, and they can be used with every single strategy. Now, I've got lots of videos on this YouTube channel all about purchase lease options and options. So I highly recommend you subscribe to the channel and you'll be able to access all of these videos. But let me cover in this video why purchase options and lease options are the best strategy during recessions. So let's think what happens in a recession. So what normally happens is that the market contracts. People stop spending money, people are worried, they want to conserve money, they're not investing, so less people are buying properties, they're worried about the market coming down, but there are still people who need to sell their properties. They want to get away from the hassle of managing, they want to get away from the responsibility of the mortgage. And with a lease option, you basically come in and say, hey, look, I will take over your property for you. I will look after the tenants. I'll do all the management. I'll look after all the maintenance. I'll even cover your mortgage for you. You could go away and forget about this property. And then at some point in the future, normally 3, 5, even 7 years in the future, you've got the right to buy that property. Now, it's very important that we fix the property price today because it means that potentially you can benefit from capital growth as the market grows. Now, I think most people expect in a recession, 2021, we see property prices come down. So it's not going to be just an option for a year. You need at least 3 years or ideally 5 or 7 years time. In that time, although the market might come down, you're going to have time for the market to recover. So you as an investor, you could lock in a price today. You're not buying it now. What that means for you is you don't need to find your typical 25% deposit to buy the property. You don't need to be able to get a mortgage now to be able to get cash flow from this property because you're not actually buying the property now. You've got the option to buy it in the future. That means you've got the right to buy if you want to, but not the obligation to do so. Now, why on earth would a landlord agree to that? Well, we're finding someone who's got a property, they just don't want the property, they don't want the hassle anymore. If you can take away the hassle from them and give them a price that works for them, they might be very happy with that. If they just sold the property, if they could sell the property, maybe they can't sell right now, but if they could sell the property and just put the money in the bank, they're not really going to get a very good return from that. So you can actually give them more money by offering them the full market price, whereas right now most people might want to buy at a discount. You can give them the full price in the future. And as well as covering their mortgages, you might give them a little bit of profit each month, which is more than they would get if they just sold and put the money in the bank. So they can't actually sell right now, but even if they could, they'll be worse off than the deal you give them. And that's really important. Whenever you're structuring a lease option, it needs to be a win-win for you and the owner of the property. Otherwise, you shouldn't do the deal. Now, the problem with lease options is most people don't really understand how they work. They don't structure them the right way, and they're trying to get the best for them, and they don't really think about the seller. What I suggest you do is put yourself in the shoes of the seller and understand their circumstances. And very often you'll find in a difficult market where we're in a recession, there aren't that many people looking to buy properties. And this might be a property that's a property they're just frustrated with. Maybe it's the other side of the country. They've got hassle managing, or maybe they've got a letting agent who's not done a very good job. Maybe they had bad tenants, and maybe they're not getting paid rent on the property. And so every month they're forking out, they're losing money, they're hemorrhaging money on this property, and you come and offer to cover the mortgage for them and cover all the payments. And what that means is that actually they're going to be in a much, much better position because you've helped them. And if you help them now and give them the solution to their problem, they're going to be far more willing to give you what you want. So done in the correct way, a lease option can work very well for the owner because they get to walk away from the pain, they walk away from the hassle, someone else is looking after the property and paying the mortgage for them, they can get on with their lives. It's great for you because what you pay the owner should be less than you rent it out for, so you can make profit on a property that you don't even own. So this is why, because there are not that many buyers in the market, when there's a recession is happening, when prices are coming down, the sellers don't have many alternatives. This alternative is much better than them sitting there with an empty property or a property they've got bad tenants in. Now, obviously, if you take a property on, you want to make sure you can fix the problem. There's no point in you inheriting a problem. Maybe it's because they're a distance landlord. They're just not close enough to keep an eye on the property and manage it properly. Maybe there's some tenants that need evicting, and once they're out, you can rent it out properly. Maybe they're not getting a very good rental income because maybe the property is not in great condition. You often find properties that are owned by landlords, they might have been fine at first, but over time they don't spend enough money to keep the property up to scratch. It just deteriorates, you've got wear and tear, so eventually it's not a great property to live in. They don't attract the best tenants, they don't get the maximum rent, and they're just tired and fed up. Whereas you come in, might put a lick of paint around the property, freshen it up a bit, and suddenly it's a more desirable property to live in. You can find good tenants, get a good rent, and you can make more money than the current owner was making on that property. So it's really important to understand how they benefit and how you can also benefit as well. So when there's a recession, when times are hard, when prices are coming down, it really is one of the best strategies to use to go and find these landlords who've got properties they want to sell. So how do you find them? Well, maybe you go direct to landlords. You can write letters to the HMO, registered landlords in your area. You can go to estate agents, and landlords are fed up with the property they want to sell, but they want to rent it out as well. You can look for properties that are for sale and for rent listed with agents, because what that means is the owner says, I want to sell it, but actually, if I can't sell it, I'll be happy to rent it in the meantime. And so that's exactly what a lease option is doing. You're renting the property, you've got the right to buy the property in the future. So it's about finding these people who are motivated. It's about understanding their circumstances and coming up with an ethical win-win solution of how you can do a deal. Now, I'm actually doing some online live training all about this strategy, about lease options and purchase lease options. It's live online training, which means not only can you gain from the learning we're going through, but also you can ask questions and you can get your questions answered, and you can listen to other people's questions and the answers I give to those questions as well. So you learn a lot quicker and you learn a lot more than watching videos. Now, I've got some great videos about lease options on this YouTube channel. I recommend you go and check those videos out. And by the way, also subscribe to the channel to make sure you're getting the latest videos coming out. We do a couple of videos every single week, and I want to keep you updated to what's happening in the property market. But this particular strategy is a massively misunderstood strategy. When people learn about this strategy, they kind of go and try and apply it to every deal they find. Let me be really straight with you here. Most properties, a lease option is not appropriate. It's only in certain circumstances. So the circumstances are when the owner doesn't need the money from the sale now. If someone's just selling a property because they need the cash for something else, well, a lease option is not going to work because you're offering to pay for it in a few years' time. Then that's not going to help them. Really, you need someone who wants to get rid of a property, not because they need the money, they just don't want the property. They don't want the hassle, they don't want the responsibility, they don't want to be a landlord anymore, or they don't want to become a landlord, they just want to get rid of it. But they're struggling to sell right now. So these are people we can help. And when we understand that situation, we know what we're looking for, we're far more likely to be successful when doing lease options. So first of all, they don't need the money now. The next thing that's important when you're doing lease options is they've got favorable mortgage conditions. Ideally, they've got a nice low interest rate. They've got a buy-to-let mortgage, it's an interest-only mortgage, and it's got a nice long term to run on the mortgage. If that's the case, that's favourable mortgage conditions, and maybe we can use a purchase lease option in this circumstance to help them solve their problem, and you can get cash flow and equity growth from property you don't even own. I do hope you found this video useful and understand now why lease options is one of the best strategies used in a recession. Please like the video, please put comments below, make sure you subscribe to the channel. I look forward to sharing with you in the very next video. If you enjoyed this video, you should definitely check out this next video that I've lined up for you. And also click on the link below to come and join me for some live online training all about how you can use purchase lease options and purchase options in your property investing. Because it's live training, you can actually ask me any questions you've got about these incredibly powerful investing tools. So click on the link, book the training right now.